Decoded.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Book Decoded. You know we love to crack open those insightful books. And today we're diving into a really buzzy one, Intermittent Fasting Simplified by Sharad Gupta.
It seems like everyone's talking about intermittent fasting these days.
I know, right? It's definitely having a moment.
But it can be kind of intimidating.
Yeah, all those different methods and all the sciencey stuff can be a little overwhelming.
But this book does a fantastic job at simplifying everything.
Exactly. It cuts through all the hype and confusion.
And gives you a clear understanding of what intermittent fasting is and how it works.
Okay, so for anyone who's new to this whole concept, can you give us a quick rundown of what intermittent fasting actually is?
Sure. So in a nutshell, intermittent fasting isn't about changing what you eat. It's about changing when you eat.
So it's not a diet in the traditional sense.
Right. It's more like a pattern of eating where you cycle between periods of eating and fasting.
Interesting. So instead of focusing on restricting calories or cutting out certain food groups, it's about strategically timing your meals.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is that this simple shift in eating patterns can trigger some pretty amazing changes in your body.
Okay, now you've got me intrigued. Tell me more about these changes.
Well, for starters, when you fast, your insulin levels drop. And that signals to your body to start burning stored fat for energy.
Wait a minute, so my body becomes a fat-burning machine just by not eating?
Well, it's not magic, but it's pretty close. Not only does your body tap into those fat reserves, but fasting also triggers an increase in human growth hormone, or HGH.
HGH, isn't that what bodybuilders are always talking about?
It is. HGH is known for promoting muscle growth and fat loss, which are definitely perks. But it also has other benefits, like faster recovery from workouts and improved bone density.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Okay, so we've got fat burning and HGH. What else happens when we fast?
Another interesting shift is that your body enters a metabolic state called ketosis.
Ketosis. I've heard that term before, but I'm not sure I fully understand it.
Essentially, it means that your body starts burning fat instead of glucose as its primary fuel source.
So instead of relying on sugars for energy, my brain is running on fat.
Exactly. And ketones, the fuel source your body produces during ketosis, are like high-octane fuel for your brain.
So that's why people often report feeling more energized and mentally sharp while fasting.
It definitely plays a role. And you know, another remarkable thing that happens during fasting is a process called autophagy.
Autophagy. That sounds intense.
It is, but in a good way. It's essentially your body's way of cleaning house at the cellular level.
So it's like a cellular spring cleaning.
Exactly. During autophagy, your body gets rid of damaged cells and recycles their components, which can have a whole host of benefits for overall health and longevity.
This is also fascinating. I'm starting to see why intermittent fasting is so popular. But I have to ask, isn't skipping meals bad for you?
That's a common misconception. Intermittent fasting isn't about starving yourself. It's about finding a fast pattern that fits your lifestyle and listening to your body's cues.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach?
Absolutely not. And that's one of the things I love about this book. It emphasizes the importance of finding what works best for you and your individual needs.
Okay, so let's say I'm ready to give intermittent fasting a try. What are some of the different methods I could experiment with?
Well, the most popular one is probably the 168 method, also known as the lean gains protocol.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah.
What does it involve?
Basically, you fast for 16 hours and then have an 8-hour eating window.
So if I finished dinner at 8 p.m., I wouldn't eat again until noon the next day.
Exactly. It might sound challenging, but many people find it surprisingly manageable.
Are there other options for people who need more flexibility?
Definitely. There's the 5.2 method where you eat normally for 5 days and restrict your calories for 2 non-consecutive days.
And how much calorie restriction are we talking about?
Usually around 500 to 600 calories on those 2 days. It's a gentler approach for people who want to ease into fasting.
And then there's alternate day fasting, which I imagine is exactly what it sounds like.
You got it. You alternate between fasting days and eating days.
That one sounds a bit more intense.
It can be. But again, the key is finding what works best for you and your goals.
So much to consider. This is already super helpful in understanding the different approaches to intermittent fasting.
And the book goes into even more detail, providing specific guidance and tips for each method.
This is great. But you know what I'm really curious about? How do you deal with those hunger pangs?
The dreaded hunger pangs.
I can imagine they'd be pretty intense, especially when you're first starting out.
They can be, but there are definitely ways to manage them.
Okay, I'm all ears. Spill the secrets.
Well, one of the most effective strategies is staying hydrated. Drinking plenty of water, herbal tea, or even black coffee can help curb those cravings.
That makes sense. Sometimes we mistake thirst for hunger.
Exactly. And another helpful tip is to distract yourself when those hunger pangs hit.
Oh, that's a good one. Keep your mind busy, and those cravings might just fade into the background.
It's worth a try. And the book also emphasizes the importance of being patient. It takes time for your body to adjust to a new eating pattern.
So don't give up too soon.
Exactly. Stick with it, and those hunger pangs will likely become less intense over time.
You know, another thing I'm wondering about is energy levels. Do people typically experience a dip in energy when they're fasting?
It's definitely possible, especially in the beginning, but the book offers some great advice for combating that.
Like what?
Well, first of all, it's crucial to make sure you're getting enough sleep. When you're fasting, your body needs adequate rest to function optimally.
That makes sense. You wouldn't expect your car to run smoothly on an empty tank of gas.
Right. And another helpful tip is to adjust your fasting window to align with your natural energy cycles.
So if you're someone who tends to have more energy in the evenings, you might choose to have a later eating window.
Exactly. It's all about finding what works best for your individual rhythm.
You know, another thing I'm curious about is how intermittent fasting impacts social situations. So much of our social lives revolve around food and drinks.
That's a great point. And the book actually offers some really practical advice for navigating those situations.
Oh, good. I was wondering about that.
Well, first and foremost, it encourages open communication.
So let your friends and family know about your fasting goals.
Exactly. That way they understand why you might be skipping certain meals or drinks.
And hopefully they'll be supportive.
Most people are, once they understand what you're doing.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Any other tips?
The book also suggests planning ahead.
So if you know you'll be going out to dinner with friends, you might adjust your fasting window that day.
Exactly. Maybe you have a later eating window or shorten your fasting period.
It's all about being flexible and finding ways to make it work.
Right. And remember, it's not about depriving yourself or missing out on social events. It's about finding a sustainable approach that fits your lifestyle.
Okay, so we've talked about the challenges, but let's dive into some of the potential benefits of intermittent fasting.
Oh, there are so many. And this book does a great job of highlighting them.
Like what? Give me the highlights.
Well, we've already touched on some of them, like fat burning, increased HGH, and autophagy.
Right. Those are all pretty amazing on their own.
They are, but the benefits go far beyond that.
Tell me more.
For instance, intermittent fasting has been linked to improved heart health.
Really? How so?
Studies have shown that it can help lower blood pressure, improve cholesterol levels, and reduce inflammation.
Wow. That's huge.
It is. And it's not just about physical health either.
Walls?
Intermittent fasting has also been shown to have benefits for brain health.
No way. Seriously?
Seriously, it can help boost cognitive function, improve memory, and even protect against neurodegenerative diseases.
That's incredible. And I know we mentioned this earlier, but I'm still fascinated by the concept of autophagy.
Me too. It's such a powerful process, and it plays a key role in overall health and longevity.
It's like hitting the reset button on ourselves.
Exactly. And fasting is one of the most effective ways to stimulate autophagy.
This is all so inspiring. I'm feeling more and more motivated to give intermittent fasting a try.
That's great to hear. And remember, this book is a fantastic resource for anyone who wants to learn more.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground in our exploration of intermittent fasting simplified.
We have. We've talked about the science, the different methods, the challenges, and of course, those amazing benefits.
And now it's time to bring it all together.
Yeah. Let's distill some of the key takeaways from this book.
What are the big aha moments that listeners should walk away with?
Well, I think the most important takeaway is that intermittent fasting is not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Right. It's about finding what works for you.
Exactly. There are so many different methods out there, and the book does a great job at explaining each one.
And it emphasizes the importance of listening to your body and making adjustments as needed.
Absolutely. You don't want to force yourself into a pattern that doesn't feel right.
So it's about experimenting and finding that sweet spot where fasting enhances your life rather than making it more difficult.
Exactly. And another key takeaway is that intermittent fasting is not just about weight loss.
Right. It's about so much more than that.
It is. We've talked about all those incredible benefits for heart health, brain health, blood sugar control, and even longevity.
It's really about optimizing your overall health and well-being. You know, something else I found really interesting is the idea that intermittent fasting can be a tool for developing a deeper understanding of your body.
That's a great point. The book really emphasizes the importance of tuning into your hunger cues and becoming more mindful of your eating habits.
It's about recognizing when you're truly hungry versus eating out of boredom or emotion.
Exactly. And that kind of self-awareness can be incredibly empowering.
It can help you make healthier choices and develop a more positive relationship with food.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the most valuable takeaways from this book.
So it's not just about the physical changes, but also the mental and emotional shifts that can occur.
It's about holistic well-being, feeling good in your mind, body, and spirit.
Well said. And I think Intermittent Fasting Simplified is a great resource for anyone who wants to explore this journey.
It definitely is. It's packed with practical advice, scientific insights, and inspiring stories.
So if you're intrigued by what you've heard today, I highly encourage you to check it out.
It might just change your life.
All right, folks, that's a wrap on our deep dive into Intermittent Fasting Simplified.
We hope you found it informative and inspiring.
And as always, happy decoding.